friends, and welcome to my channel. In this tutorial we will work the Varsity jacket, and I'm super excited about it. It has a zipper, it has pockets, it has everything you want. But before that, I will take you 1 minute to talk about the lamp that you can see behind, because BenQ sent it to me to review it, and is my last acquisition, and I'm using it to film my videos. So I will take you just 1 minute to talk a bit more about it, and then we will jump into the tutorial. So this is my new lamp that BenQ sent it to me, and I'm really happy they did, because in this way I can film my videos even during the night. I love it that it has a wide and even brightness distribution, which means that no reflection on my table, which is perfect, because in this way you can only see my work and not any light or anything on the table. So it's really easy to work with. You can simply touch the ring to open it or to close it, and also you can adjust the temperature and brightness to be exactly what you need. I will let the link into the description below, and now let's jump into the tutorial. Okay, so for the Varsity jacket I'm using Concept Sweet Fleece from Katia. You'll also need 4-stitch marker, and we will use a 4.5mm crochet hook. The recommended needle for this yarn is 4.55mm crochet hook, so we are using a 4.5mm crochet hook. And before starting to work on the jacket, we will talk a bit about the construction. So this jacket has a top-down construction. So we will start from the neckline. We will increase on 4 corners to have the raglan line, and then after reaching the desired width of our bust and sleeves measurements, then we will start to work on the body. But before on the body we will work only a few rows until we will get to the pockets, and when we will get to the pockets, then we will work these two little fellows, and then we will continue with our length. So depending on the size that you are making, you will see that the increases that I made are a bit different, because we will increase separately. In crochet this is not that often seen, so separately for front and back panels and sleeves. So in case you want to just stop increasing on the sleeves, or you'll see in the pattern, in the written pattern, that for bigger sizes you will need to increase, to make a double increase on the body, because you will need to get to a wider bust. But if you want to increase double, like increasing with 2 stitches, you can do that only on the body without increasing the sleeves as well, which is nice. Also, if you want the sleeves to be narrower, then you can do that by skipping some increases on a few rows or things like that. So I don't know if this will help you, but anyways, this is the way that we will be working this jacket. The ribbings are added at the end, and we will attach a zipper, and of course I will show you how you can sew this. You can sew this zipper to look as professional and as could be. The increases are made only on the right side, so on the wrong side we will work without increasing. Take this into account, because if you will want to I don't know, adjust the number of stitches besides doing a double increase, like I said, for bigger sizes on the last few rows, you will also be able to increase on the wrong side to just add more stitches. Also, at the beginning of the neckline we will have some short rows to be worked. just to lower the front panels and have it a bit lower than the back panel. But we will go through everything together step by step, and I hope that you will enjoy this tutorial. Okay, so in this tutorial I'm working size small, and I used 11 balls of yarn. Each ball has 50 grams and approximate 120 meters. And we will start with chaining 4 and then place a stitch marker. It's really important to have your stitch markers on hand because this will help you to know where to increase and where to make those increasings. After the stitch marker, you'll have to chain 16. This will be the sleeves, the first sleeve stitches, and then place a stitch marker. So basically the sleeve will have 15 stitches, so we are placing the stitch marker into the 16th stitch. Then we will continue with 31 stitches. This will be the back panel stitches. Don't worry if the neckline will look like it's a bit wider than you might imagine that it will be, because we will add the ribbing and then it will get a bit we will add about 4 centimeters, so it will be narrower in the end. So then place a stitch marker into the 31st stitch. Then we will chain 16 for the second sleeve. We will place again a stitch marker, and then we will chain 4, and these were the stitches. In total we will have 71 stitches, and for the starting chain. Now we will chain one more to rise up the work, and we will start to work one single crochet into each stitch until one stitch before the stitch marker, and in that stitch we will do the first increase, 2 single crochet in the same stitch, then 1 single crochet into the marked stitch, and you can remove the stitch marker and place it to the stitch above that you just made. Then we will work 2 single crochet into the next stitch after the stitch marker. Then we will continue with 1 single crochet until 1 stitch before the next stitch marker. And we will do the same until the end of the row, with increasing 1 stitch before the stitch marker, then 1 single crochet, and again 1 stitch after the stitch marker we will increase again. So here I am doing 2 single crochet, then into the marked stitch make 1 single crochet, remove the stitch marker and place it into the above stitch, making 1 increase into the next stitch, and then we will go with 1 single crochet into each of the following stitches until again we will reach the next stitch marker. So this will be the how the first row it will be worked. So increase in every stitch before and after the stitch marker. Now we will chain 4 because, like I said, we will work a few short rows. So now we are about to expand the front panel with 3 stitches, and I'm working those 3 single crochet into the chain stitches, and then we will continue with 1 single crochet into each of the following stitches until the end of the row. Remember that I said that we won't do increases on the wrong side row, meaning that we will just single crochet into each stitch. And please remember to remove and place the stitch marker into the corresponding stitch because it will be helpful on the next row. Okay, at the end of the row, because we added 3 stitches at the beginning of the row, so we will need to add 3 stitches at the end, and we will do a foundation single crochet. So insert the hook into the side of the last stitch, yarn over and pull it through, then yarn over, pull it through the first stitch, and yarn over and pull it through too. The second stitch and the following, insert the hook into the bottom of the previous stitch. You will see a small V over there, and work the foundation single crochet. Now chain 1, and we will go with 1 single crochet into each of the following stitches until 1 stitch before the stitch marker. Into the stitch before, we will do an increase, so 2 single crochet, and then we will go 1 row below and work exactly into the stitch, and we will work a front post double crochet. So this will be the raglan lines, and to make them prettier, and we will work front post double crochet. And then you can just place the stitch marker into this double crochet front post. Then into the stitch after we will increase, and then repeat until the end of the row. Okay, so now increase into the stitch after the stitch marker, and then continue with 1 single crochet into each of the following stitches until 1 stitch before the stitch marker. Make 1 increase in that stitch, then 1 front post double crochet, and then increase into the next stitch. And this will be the rows that we will need to repeat, but first we need to finish the short rows that we have. We will have in total 8 short rows. So here's how I'm doing the raglan line with 1 front post double crochet. Remove and place the stitch marker into the front post double crochet. And you will need to do this with stitch markers. I know I don't like them either. I don't like to work with stitch markers, but it will be easier to know to see the stitch before and after the front post double crochet, and know where you need to make the increases. We will continue working like this until the end of the row. At the end of the row, we will need to chain 4 again, because we need to expand the front panels again with 3 stitches, and we will start working 1 single crochet into each of the following stitches. This is a row without increases, so we will simply go and single crochet into each of the following stitches, and at the end of the row we will need to work those 3 foundation single crochet to expand the other front panel. Now at the end of the row we will add those 3 foundation single crochet. So again, going into the side of the last stitch, then on that V that it's created at the bottom of the stitch, chain 1, and now we will start the next increasing round. So I will go with a single crochet until one stitch before the stitch marker, then increase into that stitch, and then I will go with the front post double crochet around the front post double crochet that we did 1 row below, then 2 single crochet into the next stitch. Now remove the stitch marker and place it on the top of the front post double crochet, and then we will continue and repeat the same until we will get to the end of the round. And this is how we will work the short rows, and I was telling you before that we will have 8 short rows. So after 8 short rows, basically we will have to have the same number of stitches on the both front panels as on the back panels, on the back panel. And we will continue to add 3 stitches at the end, 3 stitches at the beginning of the row until we complete these 8 rows. So this is the end of the row. We will add 4 stitches again, and this wrong side row will be without increasing. So we will continue with 1 single crochet into each of the following stitches, and at the end of the row we will add 3 foundation single crochet. Remember to remove it and to place the stitch marker always into the front post double crochet or into the single crochet that is made right on top of the front post double crochet, because this is how it will be easier to know in which stitches you will need to increase. So now again the 3 foundation single crochet. So yarn over, pull out the loop, yarn over, pull it through the first, yarn over, and pull it through all loops on your hook. So this will be the final row, the 8th row with short rows when we are adding those 3 stitches at the end and at the beginning of the row. Starting with row 9, we will start working the rows without adding those 3 stitches. So we will simply work all the stitches on the right side. We will work all the stitches until 1 stitch before the stitch marker, increase, making the front post double crochet, then increase 1 stitch after, and on the wrong side working all stitches with 1 single crochet. And we will continue to work like this until we will have in total 30 rows. So after 30 rows, basically the yoke will be done for size small, and we will start to split it into arms, into sleeves and body. So let's continue working and meet you at the end of the yoke. Okay, so I finished the yoke. My last row was on the wrong side, and now we will split the yoke into body and sleeves. So we will start working single crochet stitches until the raglan line, so the stitch that is right on top of this front post double crochet stitch. Then we will work 1 single crochet into that stitch, then chain 8, we will skip the stitches for the sleeve and going into the raglan line stitch and work 1 single crochet. Then we will continue until the next corner, and with the second sleeve we will proceed the same. So again, 1 single crochet into the raglan line stitch. You can work, if you want, this stitch as a front post double crochet if you want to continue the line as this. If not, you can simply go and work a single crochet as I did. Then chain 8, skip the sleeve stitches and go into the next raglan line stitch and make a single crochet, and then continue with 1 single crochet into each stitch until the end of the row. And for the body, if you don't want to make the pockets, you'll simply go and work as many rows as you wish until you get to the desired length. If you want to work the pockets, then you will need to continue working 1 single crochet into each stitch, including those armpit stitches, until you'll have in total 18 rows. Okay, so I already finished the 18 rows for the body until the pocket. I already worked 1 sleeve, but we will go back to it later. So you will use 2 stitch markers to mark the pockets, and you will have 18 stitches from the edge up to the end of the pocket, and we will start working this section with the pockets in 3 individual parts. So it will be the left side pocket, the back, and then the right side pocket, and we will increase on the side of the pocket just to have it not straight but a bit going to the right and to the left. And to do so, we will make some increases here where the stitch marker is. Now for the first pocket, which is the left side, I think we will start from where our yarn is, and we will go with single crochet stitches with until 2 stitches before. So the mark stitch is the one that we will take into account. So let's go there with 1 single crochet. Okay, and now into the stitch before the stitch marker we will work 2 single crochet to increase and 1 single crochet into the last stitch. Now chain 1 and turn, and we will work 1 single crochet into each stitch until the end of the row. Now we will chain 1 and turn, and again we will work 1 single crochet into each stitch until the end of the row. So basically we will increase on that side of the pocket once, and then followed by 2 rows without increasing. Now chain 1 and turn, and now because it's the 4th row we will need to increase. So I will do 1 single crochet into the first stitch and then 2 single crochet into the next one, and then continue until the end of the row with 1 single crochet into each stitch, and then this row will be followed by 2 rows with 1 single crochet into each stitch, so without making any increase on that side of the pocket. And we will repeat so until we will have in total 21 rows for the pocket. Okay, so now I will have to repeat. I did those 2 rows, and now repeat until you have 21 rows. So this is the pocket. Now it's done, and because we need to start from the stitch marker, now we will need to cut the yarn over here, and we will start working on the next section of the body, which is this front and back up to the next pocket. And because we need to have some fabric inside the pocket, and I don't want to lean on this pocket or something like so, so basically we will start this section with 18 stitches, which is the same number of stitches as the pocket width on the hook. So just chain 18, and then we will go into the stitch, which is the next after the marked stitch, and we will work 1 single crochet. Okay, and then we will continue working on this chain stitches as well with the following rows, and in this way we will just have the inside fabric of the pocket. And now we will continue with 1 single crochet until the next stitch marker, and here we will need to chain 18, basically 19, and then turn the row. And after this row we will continue to work 20 more rows with 1 single crochet into each stitch until we will complete this section. Okay, now that we've finished the middle section, it's time to work the other pocket. This time we will work the same pattern as the first pocket, only that reverse. So we will start working on this pocket into the marked stitch. So we will need to rejoin the yarn here. So basically this is where we need to cut the yarn, and then we will rejoin yarn into the marked stitch. Remember that for the other pocket we increased on the first row at the end of the row, so this time with this pocket we will need to increase at the beginning of the row. So these pockets are worked in the mirror or reverse. So I will rejoin yarn into the first stitch, chain 1, make 1 single crochet into the first stitch, and then into the next one we will work 2 single crochet to make that increase at the beginning of the row. Then we will continue with 1 single crochet into each stitch until the end of the row. And then the next 2 rows will be with 1 single crochet into each stitch, so we are not doing any increasing, and then we will increase again on row number 3. So at every 2 rows, after every 2 rows, we will need to make that increase on the right side of the pocket. And we will continue working 21 rows, the same as for the other pocket and for the middle section, with those increasing on this side of the pocket. So I finished the second pocket, the 21 rows. So now we will continue with the length of the jacket, working a few rounds more. So for the first section with the pocket, we will need to insert the hook through both sides, the pocket and the inside layer pocket. So this will be 18 stitches. So I'm going through the inside pocket stitch and then to the outside pocket stitch and work a single crochet. And we will continue working like this until we will get to the other side, and on the other side we will proceed the same. And in total I did 4 rows, but in case you want to add a bit of length to this jacket, you can work a few more rows if you feel like. Take into consideration that we will have a ribbing that will add a bit of length in the end. So now I will just single crochet through both sides for the first 18 stitches. Then I will go into the middle section and I will work 1 single crochet into each stitch, and then when I'm getting to the other pocket, we will work again the single crochet stitches through both pieces. Okay, so I finished the 4 rows that I added in the length. We are done with the body of the jacket. We will leave it like this for now, and we will work now on the sleeve. I already made the first sleeve, and we will follow the same pattern for the second one. So to start the sleeve, we will need to rejoin yarn into one of the stitches at the armpit. Okay, the last row of the yoke was wrong side row, so now we will need to start the sleeve or having the jacket on the right side. And for the first row, we will rejoin yarn, chain 1, and then 1 single crochet into each stitch, including the armpit stitches. We will work in the round, the sleeve, but we will need to turn after each round, because otherwise the single crochet stitches will look different if you're working only on the right side. So we will turn after each row to make sure that the sleeves will look the same as the rest of the jacket. Now when we are getting into the corner over here, you will have a few stitches to work into the side rows. I think there are 2 stitches, so work those stitches as well, and we will go round and round until the end of the row. Then join with a slip stitch into the first single crochet, chain 1 and turn. As I said, we need to turn after each row. And now we will have a few decreases to make on the sleeve, but first we will need to work. So the pattern will have 8 rows, so we will need to work 7 rows without making any decrease, so just 1 single crochet into each stitch, and then 1 row we will do a decrease at the beginning and at the end of the row. So let's work the first 7 rows. And then after finishing the 7 rows, we will need to make the decrease. So I'm working the first stitch, and then into the next 2 I will work 2 single crochet together, and then I will continue working 1 single crochet into each stitch until I will get to have 3 stitches left, and work a decrease, 2 single crochet together, and then 1 single crochet into the last stitch. So this is the pattern that you will need to repeat for the sleeve, and we will have a total of 56 rows. Now after 56 rows, you will need to work 4 more rows for this size without making any decrease until you will reach the desired length of your sleeve, considering that we will add a ribbing as well. So now we will work the ribbing, because I already made the 4 rows, extra 4 rows. So I will chain 11, and then starting with the second stitch, we will slip stitch into each of the chain stitches until we will get at the edge of the sleeve. When we got to the end, we will slip stitch into the next 2 stitches of the sleeve's edge, and then we will turn. Second row, we will start, so skip those 2 slip stitches and make sure you're working into the first stitch of the ribbing and only into the back loop. Work slip stitches until the end of the row. Into the last stitch, you can work the slip stitch through both loops, just to have a solid edge, let's just say, because otherwise if you're working only into the back loop, a few holes will be there. Now chain 1 and turn. Again, the first stitch you can work it through both loops, and then with the second stitch go only into the back loop of the stitch and work slip stitches until you'll get to the edge of the sleeve. You should have 10 stitches for this ribbing. At the end, slip stitch into the next 2 stitches of the sleeve's edge and turn. And you'll need to repeat these 2 rows until you will complete the entire sleeve. Now to join this cuff, you can use a yarn needle and stitch those ends together, or we will use again slip stitches to join this. So first I will pull the loop to have it in front of my work, and then I will go into the same stitch, should be the first stitch over here, and I will work a slip stitch, and then I will go into each stitch. If you feel more comfortable to grab only the front loop, it's okay. Just need to work this slip stitches to make sure that the ribbing is complete. Only 1 stitch left over here, or 2. And done. You can cut the yarn now, and this was my second sleeve, but you'll need to repeat the same pattern for the other sleeve. So 7 rows without decreasing 1 row, decreasing 1 stitch at the beginning and 1 stitch at the end. You'll have to repeat those 8 rows until you have 56 rows, and then continue without decreasing for another 4 rows. The next step that we will do, we will make a few rows, a couple of rows for the zipper band. And in this way we will join again the pocket on this side. So I'm working on the wrong side of my work, rejoining yarn into the first bottom stitch, chain 1, and then work single crochet stitches into each side row. And for the first 21 rows you will need to work through both pieces, which is the outside pocket layer and inside pocket layer. Well, it's not only the 21 rows, because we have the 4 rows at the beginning that we made to complete the length. The idea is that for this section where the pocket is, you'll need to go with single crochet through both layers. And then continue working until the top, 1 single crochet into each side row. The side row are those spaces that are between the rows that we did. And in single crochet it's really easy to spot those side rows. Okay, so I will continue to work like this until I will reach the top. Then I will work 1 more row with 1 single crochet into each stitch, and we will proceed the same on the other side of the zipper line, only that reverse, so from top to bottom. Okay, so as I said, I will continue to work this zipper line, those 2 rows on the front panel's edges. So for this one we just started on the wrong side, working bottom up. The second one you will need to start on the wrong side, but this time it will be top down. And we will work 2 rows on each side. Okay, so I finished those 2 rows. Now, because I'm here with my second line, I can continue from the top and work the neckline. If not, you can simply go and rejoin yarn, and I will go into first 3 stitches into each stitch, and then when I need to pass that bridge from the short rows, we will work the last stitch and the first one of this next layer, let's just say, working 2 single crochet together, 1 into the side of the stitch and 1 into the top of the stitch. So let's do it one more time. I have 2 more stitches from this, and then I will go into the side of the next stitch, and then into the top and work 2 single crochet together. And this is how we are working over these short rows. We will work for the neckline 1 row in single crochet, and then we will continue adding the ribbing. Okay, so now I finished the short rows, so the next section it will be easier because I will need just to go with 1 single crochet into each stitch. And then when I will go to the other short rows, I will simply work the same. So to work the first stitch, like here, So here we will work the first 2 stitches of the first section, and then we will work 2 single crochet together. So now again 2 stitches, and then going into the side of the stitch and into the next stitch and work 2 single crochet together. Now again the next 2 stitches and into the side and into the first stitch. And we will continue like this until completing the row. And done. Now I will chain 1 and turn, and we will go with 1 more row in single crochet. Just with 1 single crochet into each stitch until the end of the row. Okay, we finished the first 2 rows of the neckline to just make it nice and neat, and now it's time to add the ribbing, which will be the same in the same way as we did for the cuffs. So the ribbing for the neckline, it will be the same, so chain 11, then turn, go slip stitches into each stitch, and then when we get to the edge of the neckline, we will simply go with slip stitches into the next 2 stitches of the neckline edge. Now if you want to make this this neckline wider, you can do so. I thought that 11 stitches for me it was the enough, but if you want you can add more, and even making turtleneck if you want. So feel free to just start working this ribbing with as many stitches as you want. So I will just start the ribbing with the same number of stitches as for the cuff. Again, you'll need to pay attention to your zipper, because if you want to sew a zipper in, then you will need to have it at least at the same length as the jacket, or if it's bigger it's not a problem because you can cut it and we will simply sew in the cutted end. Okay, so I finished the neckline ribbing with those 10 stitches as I started, and now we can add the bottom ribbing because we already worked the zipper line edge. So now work the same as the cuffs and the neckline. We will work the same on the bottom of the jacket, so the same ribbing. Okay, so I finished the bottom ribbing and also did a few more things in advance. So I also added a pocket ribbing and decided to add these outlines in a contrasting color because I didn't like the how it it was looking without them. So I will show you right away how you can make this. It's important to start in the right side front panel bottom because in this way you can continue with the neckline and with the other side without stopping. But I will show you how I'm working on this outline edge, but first let's just work the pocket ribbing. So I'm just working on the right side of the pocket and rejoin yarn at the end, so into the first stitch. And it will be similar as the other ribbing, only that we will work the rows horizontally this time. But the first row will be the same, so we're just working single crochet stitches into each side row of the pocket edge. Okay, now because we need to this edge to be connected with the body of the jacket, you can use to stitch it at the end, but if we can do it with the hook, why not? So I'm simply slip stitch into the next two stitches of the body, which are aligned with the edge of the pocket, and only taking the front loop, the outside loop, and then I will turn. We will do the same on the other side as well. And now we are starting to work slip stitches into the back loop only until we will get to the other end. At the other end again we will need to slip stitch into the correspondent stitches of the body of the jacket. So I'm taking these loops over here. I think I skipped one. It's better to get as closer as possible, not to have any gaps. It doesn't want to get in. Okay, better this way. And now I will turn and we will repeat to work slip stitches into the back loop only until you have the desired width of this pocket edge. I think I did in total 6 rows, but you can do more if you want because I already cutted the yarn here, but I noticed that the other pocket is wider, the other pocket edge, so I think I will have to add a few more rows. Now you can just take the end and pull it on the back, and we will hide in later. This is the end that we just carry on with us, so we can cut the end. And now let me show you how I did that outline into a contrasting color. It is not mandatory to be in the contrasting color. I just did it to mask the those because when worked perpendicular with the rows, I didn't like it how the stitches can be seen here, so I simply went with a contrasting color and made the surface slip stitches, which I did like this, but I will show you on the pocket how to start the surface slip stitches. So you just have to go with the hook into between each row, basically in those holes that you have and are the same as the one that we were the zipper edge. And I will continue through the back. I'm not going into the ribbing, so now I'm just pulling the loop on the back of the work, and then I will chain one and I can cut the yarn. And I did the same outline on the pocket, and I will show you how you can start. So for this one that we already work, it's important to start in the bottom of the right front panel to be able to continue over the neckline and finish at the bottom of the left panel. So now let's just start. We are insert the hook into the first space that we have, and with the yarn in the back we simply pull out a loop. Then we're going into the next space and we're pulling out a loop and pass it to the loop on our hook. And this is how the surface slip stitch is done. I will continue working the surface slip stitches until I will get to the end. I was starting to say that you can use even the same color. I think it will look nicer even with the same color. You don't have to use a contrasting color, or you can skip that. This step is not, it's just optional. If you like how it's looking, then you can do it. If not, you can simply skip this step. So the only thing that we will need to add after finishing this, it will be to sew the zipper. Again, because I was asked if this jacket can be worked without the zipper. Of course it can be worked, and if you want you can add on the sides the same ribbing as the neckline ribbing, cuffs and bottom. You will simply go with one row in the single crochet stitches, so not two on the zipper line, and then make the ribbing in the same way as we did for the other sections. Okay, so now we have the pockets done, everything is done, so now it's time for the zipper. So this is how the jacket is looking so far. And the sun is coming and you can see a side of the jacket. It's a bit blurry, but I will hope that everything will be fine until the end. I know that this is a super long tutorial, but yeah, a lot of details to be done. Okay, so now is the zipper time. So let's see how we will sew in the zipper. But before uh, starting everything, I will just make a case for the zipper because I never liked how it looks on the wrong side when you're sewing the zipper. You can see all the stitches and the zipper edge, so I didn't like it. So we will crochet a case for the zipper, and we will start working on the top ribbing on the wrong side of the jacket. And I will go to work because it's depending. We need approximate 1 centimeter, less than 1 centimeter, because the edge of the zipper is not that big. So I'm going into the third row, but only grabbing these loops, and I will rejoin the yarn. And we will work half double crochet stitches because I thought that it's okay to work the high is okay for what I need. I will go a little bit lower because I need to have a bit of an edge. So I will chain 2 and then I will go into the same loop and work a half double crochet. And then we will go into the next loop of the next stitch. You don't need to grab the entire stitch, only one loop. Forgot to yarn over and make a half double crochet. You don't even have to work in each of the loops here because they are a bit closer and you can skip a few. It doesn't matter, because we will only need this half double crochet stitches to be able to put the zipper in between the edge of the jacket and this case. So let's continue to work this half double crochet stitches, and then let's see on the after finishing the ribbing where we will work this half double crochet stitches. I work so much in single crochet stitches that now it's difficult to remember to yarn over before inserting the hook. Okay, so this was the last stitch of the ribbing, and now I will go around the stitches. So I will go between the 2 rows and going around the stitch. This was through the stitch basically, but you can go around the stitch because it will be easier to insert the hook and it won't be too visible on the other side, like this. So just go between, because it will only add a line on the other side, but it won't be too visible and it's easier to work the stitches. So just go around the stitch between the 2 rows that we did for the edge, and look, it's at the same height, and this is where we will put the zipper in. So I will continue until the end of the row. On the ribbing you'll have to proceed the same. Okay, so now that I finished with the case, as I said, you need to work on both sides the same. I will use some sewing pins to just set in place the zipper between the two edges that we have, that case on the wrong side and the edge on the right side. If you find it a bit difficult to do so, you can just put the pins just in the front side, and then remember when you're sewing, when you're using the thread, to just go into the case as well. And now I'm using sewing thread and sewing needle. It's important to have the thread at an approximate color with the color of the jacket and not of the zipper, because this will make that the stitches that we are doing to be less visible. So now we will simply sew the zipper. I don't know how this sewing method is called, and I really don't know if it will work on a sewing machine to just put the zipper in. It's important to, when placing the zipper, to know exactly when you want to start and where you want to end the zipper, because if you can adjust the length, but it's important where it starts and where it ends. So I will simply go through both sides, working, making sure that the needle is going through the zipper as well, with patience, and going up until you finish sewing the zipper. And basically this step was the final one. Everything you will need to do after that is to weave in all the looser ends that we have, and the jacket is finally done. Okay, so this was the tutorial for the Varsity jacket. I thank you for watching, and I will wait for you next time on another interesting tutorial. Bye bye.